How's it going for you?
Pretty good.
Pretty
Yeah.
good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
everything's going pretty good. Cool.
I mean, favorite season, but yeah, everything's okay.
Well, it's spring. Spring is like sprung. I don't know. Spring is has spring sprung there. Well, yeah.
I mean, got yeah, I have a cherry blossom tree at the front of my house. It's all, it's blooming, that's for sure.
Is it like a big tree or is it like a
But
little
it's a
tree?
huge tree. Like
Huge
it's big.
tree.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh. It's just snow in Winnipeg, so it's like pretty cold. Well, no, it's actually getting warm now, ish.
Like 15 degrees last week, which was like really random.
That's like nothing. That's like nothing compared to before. But yeah.
But it's all good.
Cool. So let's get to the very beginning, Emma.
Yeah.
Photography. Like,
hmm
what made you want to start that and everything?
So I've been like really into photography since I was probably like a little kid, like 10, 11, just like point and shoot camera, like taking pictures, documenting everything. And then when I entered high school, I like heard about photography classes and stuff like that, which I mean, my photography teacher in high school, we didn't really like learn a whole lot. It was kind of just like, hey, take the school cameras and like go have fun with that.
Nice.
um, so it was kind of just like an extra block for me that was mostly like I would just make memes in Photoshop with friends. And then, yeah, but it was definitely cool because we still had like assignments and stuff like that. So I got my first DSLR when I was 14. It was a Canon T2i. Um,
Let's go the cannon race.
yeah, so Canon T2i. And I kind of just fooled around on that for a while. And then, obviously, like I've been into music for really long, like my entire life. And I, started seeing people at local shows and stuff like that in Vancouver that I was like, hey, like I really want to do the concert photography thing. So end of 2018, I started going to like local shows with my Canon T2i still terrible.
Still?
Yeah,
Yo. I need to see these early pics now. You gotta send these to me later.
yeah, they're really, really bad. They're really bad. I don't know if I still like, they're definitely like on a hard drive somewhere. I've kind of cleared them out of my Lightroom so I don't have to look at them
Come
anymore
on.
because they're so bad. And then end of 2019, I was like, hey, I'm getting serious about this. So I upgraded finally to my 6D Mark II, and then COVID happened.
Yay! Come. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of I didn't get my first official photo pass until August of 2019. And we've been going,
Ever since.
yeah,
Who
pretty.
was your first photo pass for?
My first photo pass was for Seaway at the Rickshaw.
Ah, cool. Yeah, my first photo pass was actually for not NF, but the opener for NF because
Okay.
NF blocked media for their photography. They were like, okay, cool. Let me just take off my T6. I borrowed my sister's T6i,
hmm
and I'm like, oh, I want to try out this concert photography thing, and then boom, and thus, I messaged the band members of like, it was Kid the Band who was opening for NF, and I'm like, hey, can I photograph you guys? And they're like, sure. And then they just brought me in. It was just weird. So, yeah. Dang. Yeah.
Hate it when like artists and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, we're blocking off media. Like in 2022, I shot Slipknot, and so it was Wage War. Who else played that show? In This Moment,
Yeah.
and then Slipknot. And In This Moment was like, yeah, we're not doing media. So it was like, hey, you can shoot Wage War, and then you just have to chill for like an hour because it was at Rogers Arena. So you weren't allowed to just like walk around
No.
the camera. So it was just like, hey, you have to like chill while we do our set. And then once that's done, you can watch or shoot Slipknot. And then,
Dang. I was supposed to shoot that and I got COVID. I'm so bummed about it, but it is what it is. I couldn't make any Corey Taylor memes. I was so bummed about that. I'm like, I could have shot Corey Taylor. I could have made so many memes about it, but no. I got COVID that one day.
I mean, I got COVID the day before I was supposed to shoot Lamb of God and Slipknot, or not Slipknot, Lamb of God and Spirit Box
Oh.
over. And I was going like 2.5 years, no COVID, was completely fine. Went to Wild Rose Hardcore Fest in Ed. Did not get COVID. Thought for sure if I was getting COVID, I was going to get it there. And then basically shot Trivium, met you, and then that weekend I ended up with COVID. And I was
I
like,
probably gave it to you, Emma. That's what happened, I think.
yeah, probably.
I'm sorry if I gave it to you.
I honestly, like, my friend that I was at that show with, and one of his friends that was there ended up getting it. So if anything, his friend probably gave it to me, or it was just like there. I don't know.
I'm more shocked that after that I went to TwitchCon after that. So literally I went to Vancouver just for the Trivium show because I couldn't go see them because I had to go to TwitchCon that weekend. So I went to Vancouver, did that, and then somehow I went to TwitchCon and it didn't get COVID. So I'm shocked I didn't get COVID actually. Vogue actually, surprisingly, because I don't know, Vogue could be.
I thought I was like a superhero for a really long time. I was exposed to it at work, like when I didn't work from home.
Mm-hmm.
Had to do like at the very start of like 2020, coworker got it and they were like, hey, you have to go home and quarantine for 5 days, make sure you don't have it. And I didn't get it, and I was just like, am I immune or something?
Yeah, it took me like 2 years as well. Like I got it in 2021, I think 2022. I don't know. It took me like a year and a bit, I think. But yeah, what do you do for work other than photography?
So I am a fraud investigator for a tech company, and I can't share what company, but yeah.
You were cutting out right there. What you said
Oh,
something?
I can't. I just do fraud investigations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me your worst. Okay, you were telling me this before I hit record about fraud, the investigation thing, and you had a crazy week. So tell me, what kind of fraud do you deal with, I guess? Can you say anything of that or no?
I can kind of delve a little bit. It's just like fraudulent purchases and things like that. So it's kind of just like I have to look at people's histories and be like, hey, like, is this like a legit transaction or is this not a legit transaction type sort of thing? And it's kind of like peak season now with people like right after Christmas being like, hey, I didn't get like, this transaction that I made, or hey, I don't recognize this transaction. So it's a lot of just like never ending stuff.
So possibly you've done fraud. You think, Emma, ever?
Not that I say. No, I would hope not.
So, okay, so you can't say specific on the frauds. So, like, is it like, I'm trying to think on what it would be like. So you're finding fraud of like said like purchases of like say Amazon stuff or like different products. I would say, right? Yeah. Okay. What was the most craziest one that you had, if you could say?
Probably recently there was like $10,000 worth of like fake computer GPUs that I was looking at.
What?
Yeah.
I probably know what they were probably doing with that. If you know computer GPUs, okay, they're probably
for them, the reseller value. Yeah, they're all 4090s.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, how does it work after you figure that out? So like you have to go through like I guess your boss or something like that after you find out that they forge or what?
Yeah, so basically I have to just like review history and then I have to go in and basically compile like documentation for proof that it is a fraudulent like transaction or it's a fraudulent return or it's a fraudulent whatever. Create like a document of all my documentation and then send it up to the secondary kind of like team to be like, hey, this is what I found. Do with it what you will.
This is a sick job, man. I need to get in this industry. Heck with what I'm doing. Man, you're living life, Emma.
I mean, I can start whenever I want. I can finish whenever I want as long as I, get my 8 hours in for the day, do my 40 hours for the week. get Saturday, Sunday, and stat holidays off. So
You're living large. Jeez.
exactly, like if I can work from 7 to 3:30 and then go shoot a show, sounds good to me.
Jeez, I'm in the wrong industry now. I need to get in this industry. Heck with this. Damn. What? Okay, how did you find out on, I guess, this or fraudulent and everything? What made you want to get into this, basically?
Like from concert photography or get into the fraud
The
world?
fraud first.
Oh, um, I studied criminology in school, and it was kind of just like one of those things that I worked retail for a really long time, and I understand sort of like patterns having like worked in retail when something seems suspicious or like not quite right with people. So it's kind of just one of those things that I was done working retail. Decided, hey, I study criminology. My territory loss preventions manager when I worked retail was always trying to get me to like move up to go like work loss preventions in that dynamic, and said that I would be really good at it, and like came across the job and interviewed for it, and they were like, yeah, 3 weeks later it was my job. So
That's sick. That's
yeah.
awesome. Damn. And now you also do concert photography, I guess, on the side as well. So
Yeah, when you know.
when you're not doing frauds.
Yeah. To be fair, I've only had this job since the end of November.
Oh, so this is new. Well, okay, what was before that then?
So I worked at Best Buy for just over 7 years.
What were you doing Best Buy?
Online reservations. So I started off when I very first started off, I was 18 years old, and I got hired to work in cameras. Then cameras later manifested into like cameras and computers and stuff like that. And then after that, it was kind of just like my manager at the time was like not the greatest human being. And then my assistant manager was like, hey, I feel like your talents are kind of being wasted. So there's another job opportunity for you here if you want it. And I started doing online reservations and just, yeah.
And that's probably how you found, I guess, photography a little bit more with Best Buy, I guess, right? No?
Not entirely, no, because it was like with Best Buy, like no, but it's very weird. Maybe it's just the store that I work in, but a lot of people don't come in to like buy cameras. They came in like if they were gonna come in to buy like a camera, it was a GoPro. So it's kind of like I just needed to know about GoPros. There was a couple people that would come in, but we had like my Best Buy was in a mall, and so we had a like higher end like Broadway camera, just like basically down like the corridor that we were in.
Oh.
If you were like a huge camera snob, we don't really have like a lot of high end stuff or anything like that. So it's kind of just one of those things that people would just be like, oh, I can't get it from you guys. Broadway cameras like down the hallway. I'm gonna go see if they have it. Like we're not selling Sigma 35 millimeters, if you know what I mean. So
Damn it, you got screwed over, Emma. Damn.
yeah.
Damn.
I remember I got the Canon 5D like Mark IVs in, and this one lady was just like, oh, I want the best camera you have, came in, bought it, and then she was just like, now how do I use it? And then I just like I went on lunch after, and I kind of just sat there and I was like, I wonder what it's like to have money.
Right?
Yeah.
And people don't realize that we're concert photographers. Both me and Emma are concert photographers, and we do not have money. And that's the beautiness of being a concert photographer.
Anywhere.
Nope. So what got you into concert photography, Emma? So you did shoot your first show and that. Yeah. So what got you like invested into that, basically?
I would then say it was probably like a combination of constantly seeing Mike Thomas at shows and being like, that looks sick. And just, yeah, basically being inspired by like other people around me, and really liking photography and also really liking to go to shows. So it's kind of like one of those things where, you know, typically like with concert photography, if you hit somebody up, they're like, hey, we'll also get you a ticket into the show. So I was like, oh, I get to see a show and I get to take photos of it. Sounds like a sick gig to me. So I kind of just kept going.
Yeah, it's a sick gig. Like even myself, my first like concert that I brought, like my point and shoot. I don't have it with me, but my point and shoot was like a Canon PowerShot SX160 IS or whatever. It's like those little itty bitty cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I brought that like so much when I was very little, and that got me invested into concert photography. So literally, my first concert that I very much just shot like from first song to last song with point and shoot was Nickelback. So
Oh, I
yeah,
still never seen Nickelback. I coming to Vancouver and I kind of want to send like a pet. Yeah, I've never seen them.
you,
Fun story though. I did when I was like 11 or 12. I was out in Abbotsford with my dad, and Chad Kroger was filling his Hummer with gas, just like
what?
yeah.
I need to hear this story. Continue this story here.
Yeah, we were just there, and I like just like looked over, and I was like, Dad, does that like look like Chad Kroger to you? And he's like, I think it is. And so my dad kind of just like went over, was like, hey, like sorry to bother you, but like are you like the vocalist for Nickelback? And he was like, yeah. And just like said, hey, that was kind of like how that went.
Of all places, of all random places ever in existence, you meet
What?
Chad at a gas station.
Yeah, it was very random. I also found out like later that year at like Christmas time, because I was telling my mom's side of the family that that had happened. My uncle just like let slip that he used to, because my uncle was a hairdresser. He used to do like their hair in like the 90s when they first like started here and there. I feel like if you're from BC, you always know somebody that like used to know Nickelback. Like my best friend growing up, her aunt used to let like the members of the band like crash on their couch after like shows and stuff. Like yeah, it's
Man, it's like your cousins with Nickelback at this point.
yeah, family friend of mine was like really really good friends with Chad, and like got me a t-shirt from one of their shows when I was like 8. So
And you didn't even go to it. That's the worst part too, Emma.
that's the upsetting part. I didn't even go to it. So hopefully, first time I see them, I get to photograph them. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go.
This is rigged. This is rigged life now. This is rigged. This is. I've seen them. I think twice or 3 times. Would it be 3 times? There is the first. I lost count. Anyways, this will be maybe for third time. But I'm my dream is to actually get that full circle moment and be like, yo, I got that power shot. Yeah. Besides that, but yeah.
I understand. I had that full circle moment. So the first probably like band that I ever got into was Simple Plan, and it was because my next door neighbor, when I was like I was in kindergarten, but my next door neighbor used to come like babysit my sister and I for like a couple hours while my mom would like go to her job and my dad would be getting home from his. And he like liked all like, you know, Sum 41, Green Day, Simple Plan, stuff like that, and would just play it while he was like over here sometimes. And so Simple Plan was like the first band that I ever really got into. And I saw them when Rogers Arena was still GM Place in like 2003. They were my very first concert ever. And then, of course, I went to shoot Slipknot in that exact same arena like 18 years later. And I had my full circle moment. And then, of course, in August, I got to photograph them and Sum 41. And then I had my like real full circle moment because I was like standing in the pit, just like vibing, singing all these songs. I had to make sure that I was like remembering what I was doing rather than vibing because I need to get these shots. But yeah, it was very
nuts. That's nuts. Damn. Crazy. So what would be your favorite music genre then at that point then?
Right now it's definitely like as I've gotten older, we went from like pop punk into like metalcore, and the metalcore has like transformed into like just hardcore, and then
just hard. Yeah, some people might not know what hardcore is. Just scream, basically, right?
I was are you familiar with Knocked Loose?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I played Counting Worms for a friend of mine the other day, and it was like a joke between the two of us because he was talking about how all he likes is rap, and I was like, yeah, like I'm not really a dog person. I'm more of a cat person, and people go arf arf in my song. And then I played Counting Worms for him, and I just like, and I almost got smacked.
I'll laugh at that. Well, for me, it'll be funny, but also with that, it would just be like for someone that probably doesn't listen to that, they would smack you. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So it's kind of just like I like everything because, of course, you have like all the stuff that you grew up listening to and then the stuff that you've kind of delved into. But I don't know. When I worked a retail 9 to 5 job, you kind of need like metalcore, deathcore to get you through like the start of your day. You just kind of like rage a little bit behind your steering wheel and then you go into work and you drink all your coffee and you're like, okay. And then you get off your shift and you do it again.
Yeah, I worked in you would know Superstore. So I worked in the deli department when I was like right out of high school, in high school into college and everything. And yeah, I was deli department. I needed that hardcoreness and just
Yeah,
screaming.
you something to let it go. I mean, I still think that like, retail employees or people that work customer service based jobs should be allowed to pick like one customer per quarter that they fight just to like get it out.
I like this motto. We need to put this into effect now.
Even I'll take like it doesn't even have to be a quarter. It just has to be like once a year. You just get one person. You get to pick wisely. Just pick your one customer very wisely because there are some people that totally deserve it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's retail. Everyone hates retail unless you're some psychopath. I don't know how, but it's retail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Very glad that I don't have like Karens telling me how to do my job or that I suck as a manager, even though I wasn't a manager. But I was just like, the fact that you think I'm a manager makes me be like, you know what I'm talking about. You just don't want to agree with me because you're a Karen. And,
It's Karens. You
yeah,
can't help
exactly.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite band you got to photograph so far, Emma? Out of all the years of photography, I guess.
Might be a little bit biased, but I always have a fun time shooting the word alive whenever I do that.
I want to fight you now. I want to fight you. Damn it.
Oops. My apologies.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
Yeah. All those guys are great guys. Love them to death. So yeah. I mean, Dusty doesn't TM for them anymore, but love Dusty as well. So yeah. The word alive probably would be up there. Who else? I mean, Slipknot was really, really rad just because that was my full circle moment. What else? Who else? I'm trying to think. You know when people ask you questions and they're like, "What's your favorite song?" And you're like, "What's a song?"
What's a song? Like, jeez.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, "What's a band? What bands have I even shot?" Who else was like a good time?
If you need to, you can even look up, like, grab your phone or check out your Instagram or something like that, or whatever you need to.
Oh, Whitechapel. Trivium was great too. Yeah, Whitechapel. I just was like thinking, I was like, what are my 3 pinned Instagram posts right now? So yeah, Sum 41 as well, just because that was iconic show. Yeah, I'd probably say those. Also, what's that band called? Our Last Night, for some reason, is always like a very, I know they're corny as hell, but like I've shot them twice now, and I always have like the greatest time at their shows.
That's it. I'm ending this interview. You suck. I can't believe you. I can't. You got to photograph Word Alive, and well, that makes sense because they toured with Our Last Night and Word Alive that tour, right?
Yes,
that makes sense. Okay.
That was a show that I shot. Yes,
okay,
yeah. They're very old, terrible photos of Our Last Night on my Instagram. If you scroll back, I mean they're okay, but they're definitely. Okay. Like I do way better. I would probably re-edit them now.
I love doing that actually now. I did that with my Stream Awards thing, which was cool. I re-edited to more of my new stylish, and it was cool getting to do that again.
Yeah, during like lockdown when nothing was happening, I was just going through like a whole bunch of old photos and like re-editing them or taking shots that I was like, oh, that's a shitty shot. Like I would never edited it back then because I didn't know like how to edit it and then make it something cool. So yeah, I did that a lot. Oh, Miss May I was another great one to photograph. I forgot about that.
I need to stop talking to you now at this point. Jesus Christ. All right. You pretty much mainly mentioned most of the bands I really want to photograph at one point. But anyway. Yeah.
I'm very fortunate last year to have a big like bucket list of bands that all came through Vancouver, and I got very lucky and got passes for like all of them. So, yeah.
Okay. Besides that, what about what's 5 bands or artists you hope to photograph in the next 5 years?
Next 5? Okay, well, like on the list, I have a pass in for them right now. They're coming to play Vancouver in April, so I have a pass in for them right now.
Wait, who? It cut out just before you said it.
Oh, I have a pass in right now for Spirit Box because they're coming in April.
Yeah.
So that's up there. Knocked Loose is another really big one. Under Oath, just because every time I've seen Under Oath, they always put on a great show. But like somehow every time I see Under Oath, it's like a last minute thing. Like I don't know that they're coming, and then I end up at their show, and so I apply for a pass. Parkway Drive is the other massive. I would say that's like top list. Devil Wears Prada, and I'll say Cradle of Filth just because I missed them the last time.
I don't know that band.
Oh, they're sick. That is one of my partner's favorite bands. So I just want to shoot them just to say hi. Here's photos.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah, mine would be Word Alive. You said Word Alive. I'm like, I love Telly. Me and him go back and forth always for stuff on social media. So he's been like always with me.
Instagram name. Sorry to cut you off. How do you pronounce his Instagram name? Sorry to like cut you off about that.
I need to check his Instagram again because I'm terrible at checking Instagrams. Let me see. What's his Instagram at again? Let me see. Wait. I'll pronounce it in a minute. Hold on. Oh, where's Telly on here? Telly. All right. It should be just Telly. Oh, okay. Now I can see why you're yeah. Toi?
We call him Teletois.
Okay.
Like Teletois.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, Telly's a very good like person that we talk every so often on social media and everything. He's very hyped the next time he ever gets to go to Winnipeg, which will be like it'd probably be a decade after he hasn't come here, but either way.
Yeah, they haven't been to Vancouver since they were actually my last show before lockdown.
Oh wow.
So March 1st, 2020 was the last time that they were here. But they have since reintroduced Life Cycles to their set list. So I'm just waiting for when they want to come back and play it here.
Yeah.
That's my number one
album.
Yeah. Or number one song, number one album. Yeah.
For me, once they play anything Dark Matter, then we're good.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Dark Matter album's elite.
I know, right?
Very excited for the new stuff though. The 2 new singles they've put out are Chef's Kiss.
Very cool. I might actually message Telly late. Once he is done tour, I'll probably ask him if he's down to get on this podcast. We'll see, but probably ignore me.
They'll be done April 23rd, I believe.
April 23rd? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll message him probably April 25th. Give him 2 days of breakness, but...
I'm trying to think where they're finishing on that tour and how long it would take to get back to California. I think they finished like way over on the East Coast.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Okay, maybe a week later I'll message him.
Solid plan. Yeah. When they're getting back from that.
Yeah. So Word Alive would be one. Ghost Atlas. I don't know if you know Ghost Atlas. It's Jesse Cash's side project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be... That would be sick.
I know, right? Like he doesn't tour Ghost Atlas at all that much. So it's like, yo, once you see that, it's like, yo, you need to get that. So that's As Everything Unfolds is one. Love them, love Charlie. Breaking Benjamin is like top up there next to like Nickelback and that. And then Maggie, I'm terrible at pronouncing her last name, Maggie Linderman.
But that's how I pronounce it. So yeah,
Yeah,
be rad to shoot as well.
yeah. I'm sad she didn't do any Canadian dates.
But we have to remember, like, bands are just like, hey, we're announcing a Canadian and US tour, and then it's like Toronto, and for some reason now they're putting like Montreal on that bill, and I'm like, and then maybe Vancouver if you're lucky, and then they like forget about everything else.
Yeah, it's okay. What is your take on all that of like Canada, US, and them saying, oh yeah, this is a Canadian tour, and it's like only 2 or 3
I
days.
think it should just be like, hey, we're playing a US tour because everybody kind of thinks that Toronto is in the US at this point because that's like the only date that they put on it. And I don't think you should be allowed to call a tour a Canadian and US tour if you only have if you have less than 5 Canadian shows on the tour. Not allowed to be called a Canadian tour.
Preach. Like that's so stupid. Like literally, it's like okay, Toronto, maybe Montreal, and then that's it. And the odd time, yeah, it's mainly odd time they add Vancouver.
Yeah. I get lucky when they add Seattle because, of course, like I live super close to the border, so I can just drive down to go to Seattle. It only takes a couple hours, which I'm very fortunate, but like lots of people just like are ignoring the Pacific Northwest lately, and Seattle just like isn't on anything. And I'm okay, well, closest show is Las Vegas. Yikes.
Yeah. I was also curious about you on how you do it, like doing Pacific Northwest and everything. Like, what made you want to do like Seattle and I guess Vancouver too. I guess.
Well, I mean, because I was born and raised in Vancouver. Like Vancouver is obviously like the easy thing.
Yeah.
I like live in the suburbs out here, so it's the easiest one. But Seattle is just because like I started noticing, especially like once I got my driver's license, that like a lot of bands, like if they don't come to Vancouver, they go to Seattle, and that's not that far of a drive. Like I could definitely do that, and I started going to a couple just like weekend shows or like booking the day off work with like one of my best friends, and we just like go down, see the show, and then drive back. And then I basically just was like, hey, I could also photo these shows because I don't get paid for them. I mean, I've been paid for a couple, but I don't get paid for most of them, so it's not like I have to tell the border guard like, hey, I'm coming down to do work. I just have to say, hey, I'm going to shoot a show.
Exactly.
Or, hey, I'm going to see a show, and they don't care. So
I'm same way. I go from Winnipeg to Fargo and it's 4-hour drive, but either way it's like, oh, go there, quick, couple hour drive, go back, border don't care, it's one day, they're fine.
Yeah, exactly. If like if saying, hey, I'm going for like a week, might be a little bit more suspicious, but like half the time I just go and drive back the same night because it's not that far. Or sometimes like if there's a bunch of us going, then we'll go for like the night and then drive back like the next day, which isn't that bad.
Why are they skipping Vancouver, you think, and Pacific Northwest and Seattle, you think?
I don't know, to be honest. Like I know that a lot of the time it's just because of like routing reasons. Some bands, majority bands don't have control. It's just kind of like whatever venues have availability at that time. I know some of them have issues in terms of like Thornhill was here in when was that? I saw Dusty like 4 times last year because he was on the road with Thornhill and Holding Absence, but they were like over here, and they basically it was just like, oh, are you guys staying? And they're like, no, we play Seattle tomorrow. We have to be like out of Canada by midnight tonight, or like going across the border and like on our way there. So I don't know if it has something to do in terms of like visas where they're not allowed to stay past a certain amount of time, and they just don't like get caught with that. There's also like, I know a lot of issues sometimes with like bands getting across. They're like, hey, we thought all our visa stuff was good and they told us we can't leave the US. So I don't know, to be honest with you.
Strange. I don't
It
know.
sucks, but I get it in terms of like a business standpoint that, US is a lot easier, but yeah.
I call BS on that because literally I know someone that said that Canada is cheaper for bands to go to besides the US, I think, but except unless it's gas wise, I believe, because you have to travel from that. Yeah, gas is expensive, but it's cheaper for bands to do tours in Canada though.
That makes sense. I mean, maybe it's just because, like, in the US, you can get from state to state in about 4 or 5 hours,
Yeah,
and like it takes me 12 hours to get to the next province. So it's not really ideal. Like, I know, like, my partner is on tour right now, and it's kind of like one of those things that, like, it's 5 to 6 hour drive to get to your next venue. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and you've got load in at noon the next day. It's like nobody wants to drive 13 hours like through the night to get to their next place. You kind of need like several off days in the middle, and then you're not really making money. You
yeah.
can't really like 5 or 6 shows in a row and then have an off day when you tour Canada. You kind of have to.
Truck it basically. Truck it in between. Yeah.
I also feel like we don't have like large enough venues in literally every single province sometimes.
It depends on the size of venue. Like for Winnipeg, I know we have weird venue sizes. So we have 201, an 81, another 200. We have like a lot of like three 200 cap venues. Then we have an 800 venue now, and then 1200, and then we go up from MTS Center, which was Canada Life Center. I don't know about how Vancouver's like for venues wise there.
I mean, we have like larger venues. We don't really have anything that like local DIY bands can come play anymore. Like,
Really?
yeah, we don't have we have like Bullies now, but that's kind of like a recording studio. Um,
Ooh.
it's you could fit maybe 50 people shoulder to shoulder. It's sweaty as hell. It's uncomfortable. But like we don't have the 333 anymore. Majority of like bars that used to let bands play don't really do too much anymore. So kind of like, I mean, I could be completely wrong. I kind of don't do the local scene too much anymore. Just I feel like it gets repetitive after a while of just like shooting the same band over and over and over again.
Mhm.
So it's kind of just, yeah, one of those things that it's like we have Vogue, which I don't know what the cap is, but that's a pretty big venue. We have the Rickshaw. Again, that's a pretty big venue. It's in the worst part of Vancouver. Like nobody wants to go there. I definitely don't want to go there, but I do it anyway. I'd never shoot a show. And then what else do we have? There's like the Roxy, but that's like a club. Some people play like Fortune Sound Club sometimes if they're like a smaller artist. But again, that's like a club vibe. It's, you know, yeah. There's also the Orpheum, but I don't really hear too many people playing Orpheum very often. And then we have like Rogers Arena and stuff, or like Abbotsford Center. But
Yeah.
you have to be, like Nickelback or Slipknot or Shania Twain to like play Rogers Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of, but yeah, I'm in the local scene a lot, but at the same time, I'm like, last year I took a lot more local than most years because everyone was back after COVID, right? So it was like same bands over and over, and it's at this point now I'm with I just don't, I'm not too keen on taking photos of local anymore, but at the same time it's like rinse and repeat. But I'm fine with taking photos once in a while for a local, but it's like,
Yeah, like I don't mind taking photos of local bands at all. It's just kind of one of those things. Once I've shot a local band like over 10 times, I'm like, okay, I know your guys' set list front to back. I know what you do. I've probably got every shot possible. And I'm kind of tired of looking at all of you now.
yeah, I get that, but also I'm trigger happy with my camera, so I take over 1,000 or more for a set.
Oh, so you're exactly like Mike Thomas. That's just like, yeah, one time I shot Stasis and took 10,000 photos. And I was like, how do you take 10,000 photos of Stasis?
No, I don't do that much. My limit is at least most shows it's 2,000 or lower.
I would say depending on like how many artists are on the bill, I say anywhere between like 600 to 1800.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. My low nights, if I'm not too keen on shooting, then it's like about that, like 600-ish, 800, and
Yeah.
that. So
I definitely tried. I used to be so trigger happy that like we were looking at like 3,000 photos, but I kind of started picking my shots a little bit more wisely in terms of it. And like, unless it's something that I'm like, oh, that could make a really sick GIF, I just don't, because I'm like, I'm going to get through this show and then I'm going to hate myself later because I'm just going to be like, half of these, or like way more than half of these, need to just like be tossed in a bin somewhere. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. That's basically every single show for me. It's the same pose. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So okay, you mentioned Vancouver local scene. Have you done a lot of like Portland or that kind of music scene that much more or no?
Portland, actually. I should go to Portland. It's just like it's 4 or 5 hours as opposed to like 2. I've done like a little bit of Seattle local, but it's more so just like bands that are going through Seattle on a tour that I photographed. I was also for a while pretty into going to the Calgary, like Kelowna music scene as well.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah. I drove to Calgary for a band that is no longer together. In the middle of a snowstorm and was in Calgary for about 6 hours just to like photograph their show.
This girl's nuts.
I do some crazy shit. It's fine.
Okay, what's the craziest you've done? Is that the craziest?
That would probably be the craziest. I drove, like through a snowstorm and then basically slept for like 4 or 5 hours, got up and drove home the next day, and just saw like semis on the Coquihalla, like, jackknifed or just like flipped. And I'm in my little Honda Accord, just like driving down the road, just like
Honda. Oh no.
Like, I'm gonna die. But I'm still standing here, so like, yeah, clearly
you're talking this story, and I'm like, how you did it on a Honda?
Did. Yeah.
Okay, if you guys don't hire this woman for a tour, you're nuts for at least some kind of bus. She drove a Honda through a snowstorm. You gotta give her credit.
That was things I'll never do again. Yeah, I'm good. I don't ever need to do that again.
Yikes. Jesus Christ, Emma. Yeah, I've not done that yeah, there's certain ones like I wanted to do. There was a show with Versatile I wanted to do, and it was a snowstorm day, and I'm like, heck no, I'm not doing that because it's a 4-hour drive. But now you done it with a Honda Accord with 6 hours. Man, I gotta step on my game and go to bloody Minneapolis on a snowstorm now. Jesus.
Okay. I'm not saying what I did was smart. I definitely should not have done it. It was one of those things. It's literally a local band. It's not like it was anybody crazy.
It wasn't a big band either, Emma?
Well, it was a local band, okay? And it was because I was like, if I come to this show, will you guys play a song that I really like? And they didn't even play the song.
That's even worse.
Yeah. But I took some of the, I got my Canon 15mm, so my fisheye lens, 3 before that show, and took some of the greatest photos that I've ever taken at that point in my photography career. So I wasn't mad about it. I just definitely got home, laid down, and was like, girl, get a different hobby, because what are you doing?
And you haven't changed.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, are you familiar with Avoid?
Yeah, I know Avoid.
Okay, yeah, so Avoid played that show, and now Avoid's huge, right?
Oh,
so
shoot.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so there was some benefit from it.
There was some benefit, exactly.
Yeah, you're good. Jeez. Okay, what do you want to accomplish, Emma, when it comes to photography? Because that's accomplishment, I guess. But what is your end goal accomplishment with, I guess, concert photography?
Probably just start doing tours. Tours would be sick. Yep. Yeah. I've definitely done a weekend thing, but doing a tour would be very sick.
Well, talk about that weekend tour. Like, what was that like?
I mean, it was kind of just like one of those things that I drove my own car around to like 4 dates. uh Vancouver, Kelowna, Edmonton, and Calgary, and then I just like went home.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's nothing too crazy on that like weekend tour experience or anything. No.
No, not really, other than like no. I
Okay.
can't even do anything crazy. It was just kind of like being at a show and taking the same photos except in different venues type thing. But,
Wow.
yeah.
Amazing.
I would like to do definitely, something more. Go see the world cuz like I like traveling, so I would like to see the world and like take photos. That would be sick. That's
Right.
like the end goal. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same way. For me, it's like, oh, I would love to like travel the world. Like, yeah, it's like we're youngish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mid 20s, yeah.
yeah. Just like maybe not. I don't know. Well, you told me when you said you were 18 and working at the Best Buy thing. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you're this older, Emma.
Well, I'll be 26 in like 3 months. So
You don't look 26.
I know. I get ID though.
You get ID'd a lot still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, lately, if I go into like restaurants, I don't get ID'd. But I think it's just because of like the people that I go with. Like a lot of my friends don't look 18. So I think they're just kind of like, oh, yeah. It also helps that I have like a hell of a lot of tattoos. So sometimes I try to like make sure that I like show them off in a restaurant to be like, I promise I can drink alcohol.
That's fair. That works. That works out. And somehow I still get ID'd with a damn beard. So that's a thing.
That's confusing because like I have one of my best friends is 3 years younger than I am and never gets ID'd whenever we go anywhere, but I'll get ID'd. And I'm like, is it because he's got the beard or is it like which one is it?
I don't know. It's strange. It's confusing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bartenders. They just like to, or the security people. They just like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, when I was like freshly 19, myself and some coworkers at the time went out for like dinner one night, and there were three of us who were 19 at the table, and there was one of my coworkers was like 27, and we asked the bartender, we were like, who do you think is the youngest at this table? And because the 27-year-old was very short, she was like, oh, he's the youngest. And we were like, no. And then I got pointed to, and I was like, no. And it was actually one of my coworkers that was sitting next to me who has like full beard, mustache, just looks a hell of a lot older. And yeah, like, I think I need to ID people more often because that was really bad.
Yikes! You just made someone probably lose their job. Let's go.
Yeah.
Damn.
Whoops.
Well, yeah, like the stigma. Well, I hear this actually quite a bit now because I'm on Twitter a lot more now for photography wise, and everyone's like the stigma. You have to be certain age to be a music photographer and that. Do you think that's true or not?
No, definitely not. I think it again stems from the whole stigma that you have to like work hard to get what like the opportunities that you as well. Because I will agree, you do have to work hard to get opportunities. Sometimes there is such a thing as luck, like being in the right place at the right time or knowing, like I feel like just like not even just music photography, but like a lot of like jobs in general are just about what kind of connections you have and what kind of people you know to then talk to other people by word of mouth to get you certain opportunities. I will say, there are lots of people that have like worked their way up, but sometimes it is just a matter of the fact that you all of a sudden, by word of mouth, maybe somebody in the music scene who's like, hey, so and so is looking for a tour photographer, and they recommend you. And then you kind of get that opportunity if it works out.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree on that because like you could be someone that's like maybe your first tour is like, hey, when you're 18, or someone when you're 27 or something, 26, and that like it's a matter of knowing someone. Like that's the same thing when I work in radio. You got to know someone to get somewhere. You got to make those connections to get up that next level or that
Yeah.
next.
That's not
Right.
saying like don't work hard, because obviously like work hard, don't just expect
Yeah.
things to get you and things like that. But a lot of the time it is like you do work for somebody and somebody asks for a recommendation and kind of like keeps going. But I will say, I mean, probably being like, at least of drinking age would help, because sometimes venues are like age cap. Um, so maybe, being drinking age might help. But at the same time, I don't think that's necessarily like a big issue, because if you're on the tour package that's taken care of, and majority of venues that are like age capped have a GA section, so it's not like it's the end of the world if you're not.
Let's go. We're gonna get some underage people and get them on tour and child labor. Let's go, Emma.
That's, you know what I mean? That's not what I'm. Yeah,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm putting words in her mouth, everyone. It's
yeah.
fine. I was joking.
No,
It's
child
fine.
labor, totally support it.
Totally. No. I agree with you on that standpoint of like, yes, you should have someone that is legal age of drinking because the band wants to celebrate after as well, and they can't really do that well if you're not legal age, right? Probably.
Well, yeah, but I mean, also there are people that like don't drink for various
Well, that
reasons.
too. Yeah.
And being of drinking age in terms of like, then you can also help with driving. Like if it's a smaller, like let's say it's not it's just like a DIY tour, right? Everybody rotates driving. I've seen instances where only one person in the entire band has a driver's license.
What's one fact thing people should know about photographers, even music photographers, that they might not know, Emma?
Damn. That no.
I'm not giving you help at all.
I feel like damn. I feel like you're putting me on the spot here. I'm
Yep.
like one photographer people might not know. I feel like this should be a given, but I've definitely seen it with like local bands that I've shot before. Not all photographers are one photographer fits all, essentially. So like don't go to somebody that regularly shoots weddings and be like, hey, can you come shoot our like band?
Yeah.
Don't hire somebody because you're like, oh, they're going to do this for a cheaper rate when you want somebody else's work. Because obviously, like if let's say, for example, like a band hired me, but they were really into the style of like your photos and your editing, if they come back to me and they're like, hey, can you edit them like this? It's like, well, that's not how I edit my photos. And I've come across that before, where just like I did a friend at the time a favor to shoot his band that had like a house party, and then he was like, hey, can you edit these photos like this? And I kind of was like, that's not how I edit photos though.
Ooh. Yikes.
So yeah,
How did that go out?
I mean, they're also no longer a band. That person is not in the BC music scene. He's a terrible human being. Lots of
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but basically, I just boiled it down to like, hey, I did this as a favor for you. I got paid way less than what I would typically charge to like do this. You kind of didn't give me any sort of direction as to like what you wanted. You just said, hey, I trust you to take photos. And I thought you were hiring me to like do work because you like my work, not because you were like, hey, I don't want to pay somebody else to do this. So I was like, if you wanted that other person's work, you should have hired them to do it, not be like, oh, hey, because we're friends and I asked her and I said, hey, I don't have a budget for this. It's only going to take this kind of amount of time. Would you be down to like do a deal for me? And I kind of was like, well, yeah, I'm okay with that, because I wasn't super established in my work. This was kind of like, 2019. So it was kind of still fresh for me and stuff like that. But it was definitely one of those things that I took a pay cut because I was like, hey, we're friends. It's fine. that's another big thing. Don't take pay cuts because you're friends with people. If people support you, they will pay your rates.
That is true. It's hard to do that now.
Mhm.
Well, not now, but also I've noticed that quite a bit recently. Like, I talked to one photographer actually recently about that too. It's like, maybe it's good, but maybe it's not. I don't know. Like, if you're doing stuff locally, like, sure, but also if you're doing that continuously, then it's not gonna help benefit yourself if you want to get somewhere,
I
right?
just feel like it's not benefiting you. I would say, like,
Mhm.
let's been friends with the person for like 8 years, and it's like, for example, let's say like an engagement shoot or something like that, and they're like, hey, I really would like you to do my engagement photos. And then you decide on your own, you're like, hey, this is going to be my engagement present to you, that I'm just going to do these like free of charge, or hey, I'm going to discount this because maybe you're like not typically like an engagement photographer or anything like
Mhm.
that. But I wouldn't say walk into something just because you're friends with somebody, like expecting a deal out
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah.
because like if my friends were artists, I would pay their rates, not just expect to get a deal because we're friends. That's.
No, I totally agree on your standpoint on all that and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, don't, if I ask you to buy like a product, I don't expect like a discount or anything like that because we're friends or because I know you. The worst is like when they're like, oh, hey, I know you. Can you cut me a deal? And I'm like, no. Like, do you know my last name? Probably not. Like,
Hey, I didn't know your last name until this thing, and then I blocked it just for people. But either way, yeah.
I mean, it's in my Instagram handle. So
Shit. Well, listen, that's fine, but
nobody pays attention to that part anyway.
hey, that's why I don't have that on my Instagram handle. It's on my personal, but not my Instagram. So
That makes sense. I just feel like my name is so long that I just thought having like first name, last name for photos would be better. And having like, I used to have the word photo in my IG handle for my photo account. And I was like, that's just so long. I
are
don't
you
like that.
dissing me on mine now, Emma?
It works for some people. Cause like I know people obviously that have like their whole name and then like
Oh yeah.
photography, of course, right? But I don't know. For me, I'm just like, I need something short, quick, simple. Like my last name is already hard enough to say. Like just go for it.
It's not that hard.
What? Are you pronouncing it correctly or are you pronouncing it the way you think it's pronounced?
I... She's ready to roast me here. All right, listen. Okay, I will pronounce your name what I see on this Google thing right here. Emma Jane Dotchuk.
That is incorrect.
What?
Yeah.
What is it?
So it's Emma Jane and the T is silent, so it's Dochuk. It's not Dotchuk.
I hate silent last names now. I generally hate that now.
It's the blame the Ukrainian.
Hey, I'm
So,
Ukrainian too, and we don't have anything silent in mine.
okay, well then certain. I don't know. Mine is like
Right.
transferring over from the Ukraine. I learned that like that's not even like what my actual last name is. That's like the translation of what it is. And I have cousins who have different spellings of like the translation. So, I got cousins I don't even know about because we all got some form of a last name.
Huh.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah, like I have an uncle with the last name Dotzak, which is Dozak, and it's supposed to be the exact same thing. So I like that spelling a little bit more than mine, but
This is fine. I think I don't know. It's not that bad.
it's not terrible. But
Not that bad.
do
Yeah. Yeah. What's something you hope changes when it comes to music concert photographers?
sexism.
I didn't think of talking about this. I'm terrible. Okay. Yeah, totally. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely, I feel like a divide. I mean, it's cool to see the amount of like women or non-binary photographers in photo pits now, because definitely like when I first started out, like even, 2018, a lot of the photographers that I would be around were all guys. And now like most recently I shot Newfound Glory and every single person in the photo pit was either a woman or non-binary person.
Nice.
That was like really rad to see, but I definitely like have been in photo situations or in a photo pit where, you know, a security guard is like, are you allowed to be here? Or who gave you that pass? Or
Really?
like some random dude has like come up to me and been like, so which one are you sleeping with? Or like, who are you here with? Like,
No.
yeah, I was at the rickshaw once and some guy like came up to me and was like, so are you freelance or are you fucking like the vocalist? And I was like, dude, there's a better way to like ask me whether I do photography or whatever. So yeah, I would say probably that, because I don't know. I don't think the way that anybody looks should stop them from getting jobs, or their gender or, you know, sexual orientation should stop them from getting jobs. So yeah, I would say that's probably one thing.
Yeah, like I've noticed now recently. Well, I've always, for me, in Winnipeg, for me specifically, when I first started photography, there was actually like, it is still male dominant, but also I've always, when I first started photography, there was still women photographers that I was started in my journey and everything. But either way, it's just like nice. I'm glad that we're starting to get more prominent women photographers, LGBTQ plus photographers, non-binary photographers in the scene now. It's great. And if you saw, the Word Alive posted about women photographers are wanted in their tour, which is awesome to see. And I hope more bands take notice of this, because it's not just male photographers, it's these people take amazing photos as well.
Yeah, there's definitely also like, I mean, I know a lot of women or non-binary photographers who have been told that like, hey, like they get a tour opportunity and they're like, oh, hey, actually we decided to go with somebody else because like our girlfriends aren't comfortable with you being part of the touring package. And I just think that's like, we're all, at the end of the day, we're all there to do a job, and I'm not there to try and do anything with anybody. Yeah. So
and if you have a significant other or something, like, why even bother doing that? Like, I don't understand people nowadays. Like, geez, like how workplace harassment is a thing too. In
that as well. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's getting. I think a lot more prominent now in mainstream now. I would think, right?
Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah. I would also say I hope another thing that changes is, I noticed this especially after COVID, no bands post their PR information anywhere. And it's like, want people to come photo your shows, like put your PR information somewhere, because 90% of the time it's like, hey, contact us. And it's like their management or like bookings agent. And I'm like, that person will probably just ghost read my email or say, hey, I'll forward this, and never forwards it. So before it used to be super easy to find PR for people, and now I feel like I have to go on like an investigation to find somebody's PR every time I want to shoot a band, and I'm like, yo, this should not be this hard.
Yeah, for me it's usually, it goes down by breaking different steps, because it's on their Instagram or their little contact thing. If not, then I check their Facebook, and if it's not their Facebook, then you have to go through, it's so many steps, it's stupid.
Yeah, like, if it's not on their website or on their Facebook, sometimes I check Instagram. 98% of the time it's not on Instagram. And I just end up going through my stock pile of kind of like PR representatives that I've already emailed, and I'm like, is this band on your roster? And I'm
dang, it's not. Oh, we have to go through the backlog.
Or like recently I sent an email to shoot a band, and they got back to me literally within 20 minutes, and they were like, hey, we don't actually work with this band anymore. I was like, why are they still on your roster? Like, oh no. Yeah. So I felt like a dumbass, because I was like, I should have sent that email. But also, if the band is on your roster, like, maybe you should get rid of them, because
yikes,
that would be luckily I just went through one of the members of the band and was like, hey, I want to photo your band. Is that cool?
I do that quite a bit actually. I just message the bands and they're like it's like honestly nowadays it's like pretty high percentage that they do check their Instagram, which is crazy.
Yeah, I did that with Monuments. Rosario actually helped me out with that because I was like, does anybody have a PR contact for Monuments? And then Rosario was like, Andy, get her to shoot your show. And I was like, oh, cool. And then Andy hooked me up. Very sweet human. But yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, Andy's so nice. I got to see him in what is it? Yeah, the Winnipeg show, and I was so baffled on those guys on how crazy. I wanted to meet Andy for who knows how long, but yeah, great band. I love Monuments.
Great performance live as well. That was another thing. I'm always shocked to see like how bands perform live in comparison like how songs are, and then I get really disappointed sometimes because I'm like, wow, they sound so much better live than they do even recorded, and then I get upset because I'm like, wow, I have to listen to the shitty fucking recording now.
Yeah. I think the most prominent band that I'm like, yo, this is the best live was Whitechapel for me. Like I was in awe.
Yeah. Phil's insane.
Yeah. My friend was like, yo, once you see Phil, you're gonna die, and I died that day.
Yep. That was a great show. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's an upcoming show you're looking forward to shooting? You hope to get?
Well, Spirit Box is on there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Knuckle Puck is coming up. I'll be going to Seattle for that. I'm going regardless of whether I get to photo, but yeah, definitely would be excited to do that. Very good friend Brandon Lee is out with Real Friends right now for them, so excited to also see them because I know they'll be there. So yeah, that one. I would probably say. Also, I know Thornhill and like Holding Absence and The Plot and You are coming to Vancouver in May as well. I know he's going to be on that one, so I'm just excited to hang with Dusty as well as like the Thornhill guys. They're all great. I love Ben. So yeah.
So plans for the rest of the year for yourself? You hope that you'll come across.
I would love to tour this year. If it doesn't happen, it's not a big deal. It would kind of just be this year then would be just trying to shoot like more bucket list bands. Yeah, because last year was really, I had the great opportunity of shooting a lot of bucket list bands. So I would say, would hope the same for this year to just tick off a lot more of the bucket list bands. I also kind of feel like I have like a style that some people like. My goal is always that like people will look at my photos and know that I took that photo. So I'm kind of just like, I don't know. I kind of want to revamp my editing style, but I kind of like where I'm going with it. So I don't know, maybe revamp the editing style this year. We'll take a look at it. But yeah, just either a tour or just more bucket list bands would be fine by me. Definitely want to explore video a little bit more this year. But yeah, that's about it. That's the only plan I have besides that. Yeah.
How about festivals? Do you like doing festivals that much or no?
So I had the opportunity to photo Heart Sport Fest in Florida, and I fucked that one up. Not actually. It was just kind of one of those things that we didn't really understand, like the pass situation for it. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to like bring my camera or like what kind of pass I would be given. So it was kind of like one of those things that it was just, my partner was playing that festival. He didn't know whether I needed a photo pass or not. And then it was kind of one of those things that we talked about a photo pass, and I ended up with an artist's pass. So I could have taken photos, and I didn't know that I could have, and I just didn't end up bringing my camera with me, and I should have, but I didn't want to carry around gear that I wasn't allowed to use and potentially have security be like, yo, why do you have that?
No, I did that. It was funny because recently I did a Festival de Vaugir. There was a band, there was an artist that's a hip-hop artist, and just gave me, they didn't give me a photo pass, it was just an artist badge, and it was like, hey, here you go. I'm like, oh, this works? And they're like, yeah, this works. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so we were under the impression at the time that like we needed like a legit photo pass, and then one of those things that their photographer just shot everybody with an artist pass that he wanted to shoot, and I was like, oh, So I could have shot this, but I was more like, I don't want to lug around all this gear that I potentially can't use. So it was kind of just one of those things for the safe side. But I had that. It was still a great thing to go see. Got to see Parkway Drive. I Can Die Happy. Would I have preferred to photo them? Absolutely. But I'll get my opportunity next. So I would say, yeah, doing festivals would probably be like the next thing, because I haven't actually shot a festival.
Oh, really? I thought you would have at least once.
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. The majority of festivals that like come through Vancouver are all like EDM festivals, and I am not a huge fan of EDM festivals.
Okay.
I don't mind EDM music. I'm just not a huge fan of the festivals. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done EDM stuff in Winnipeg and that. I've done like EDM DJ stuff before. It's all right. Like, it's nothing too crazy. It's like, but like, it's like that one getaway fun, like something different for me. That's it. But I like doing like actually like rock metal festivals. Those are fun. Like, got to do that in Fargo last year. I guess that one with August Burns Red was kind of like a festival in Fargo. They kind of did that. It was like local, and then it was the actual thing. So it was like both that. So that was kind of cool.
When We Were Young Fest, if that's an opportunity.
Ooh, yeah.
That'd be sick. Although Vegas is that just, it kind of seems like to shoot When We Were Young Fest is just like a massive clusterfuck because of how many bands are going on all at the same time. And I guess that's like part of the joy, because like Warped Tour and stuff like that. I never shot Warped Tour or anything, but it's kind of one of those things that it's so,
yeah, like
you got to be running everywhere. And I don't know if that would just stress me out because I'm an anxious person. Whereas like when I went to Hard Sport Fest, it was kind of like definitely timed, at least for photographers, to go to one stage from the other stage. So it was like you had your 3 songs, they would play their 30-minute set, and then while that stage was doing changeover, the other stage would be playing their 30-minute set, so that like if you wanted to see everybody on both stages, you could just walk back and forth across the field to either stage.
Yeah, so that was like with the August Burns Red one as well. I like that a lot if festivals do that more, because then it's perfect. But like if it's like Warped Tour or something like that, then it's like, how can you see all these bands?
That you're like, oh, this band is going on while I'm photographing this band, and then I'm not going to catch the 3 songs ever, and you're just, it's hectic. You've kind of got to pick your bands, and it's like, well, I don't want to do that.
Damn, I hate that.
Yeah, I went to Warped Tour like 2 or 3 times. It was just one of those things that if you go the next year, you hope that somebody that you missed last year is on the bill the next year, because sometimes you just have to make sacrifices. You're like, well, this band is going on 10 minutes after they start, and I'm at the very front of the barricade right now, so I'm going to just stay right here.
Yeah, we hate it here.
Yeah.
I hope to do more like for me this year, it's mainly like tour or at least more festivals this year. That's my main thing. Like I'm trying to do Blue Ridge. That's a big maybe on that one.
That'd be sick.
I know, that would be sick. That one I've been following Blue Ridge for so many years. That's just like, ooh, this would be top bucket list. There's another one. Osheaga was pretty good lineup this year that I saw. If you know Osheaga. Yeah, that one's all right. It's more pop centric, but there's still like those big artists that I really want to see. Like I want to actually photograph Billie Eilish. That'd be pretty cool up there and that, right? Wallows is one. I don't really want to see Wallows. As for like other like rock stuff, yeah, Parkway Drive is up there, but that's specific. We have the same music taste, Emma, though, so there's that.
It's such a shame though, because like I don't know if you saw like the Knotfest post that they made for Knotfest Australia or what was it Knotfest Europe? Where are they right? No, it's Australia.
Yeah.
Knotfest Australia right now. I don't know if you saw the video that Parkway Drive posted of their set, and just like the entire like crowd, basically the entire fucking venue is just like singing Parkway. So I would love to go to an Australian, because like Australians don't fuck around when it comes to hardcore metalcore. Like in my opinion, and this might be biased a little bit because I've been to Australia and I love Australia, is I think all the best bands come out of Australia, personally.
Ooh, that is honestly, I'll say yes and no. I'll say yes and no because literally, yes, there's Australian, like, yeah, Parkway Drive, there's Polaris, I believe, and I think it's Polaris. I'm terrible with names and everything with bands, but there's them, and then I would say UK.
Yes, UK is another. No, I would definitely say, yeah, Australian and UK bands are just like unmatched. There's obviously like the US bands that are unmatched as well, but a lot of like I feel like the more bands that are like on a lot more tours as of late or that are like blowing up are all from Australia or the UK.
Yeah. Prominently, yeah. All the bands that are right now blowing up are Australian UK bands, and I'm like, yo, this is the year. No, I think next year is gonna be insane from those bands coming to US or Canada, and that I think it's gonna be wicked. I think next year.
Oh, 100%, especially because like COVID is kind of calming down a little bit more, and yeah.
But the worst time too because US is possibly bringing up the visas for those bands and that.
230% increase or something absolutely bonkersly stupid like that. Yeah. In
Canada, it's just a waiver and it's free.
So you know what that means. More bands should come towards the...
Yeah, that's the logistic, but they don't because they're idiots. I'm not saying all bands are idiots. I'm just saying tour managers. Okay, what do you think about tour managers in a sense, Emma?
Oh, I mean, I know some great tour managers, and I also know some that, you know, I don't know. They're just like, I know, I feel like majority of the tour managers I know are like the greatest, nicest, sweetest human beings and just like really love their jobs. I've only met like one or two tour managers that seem really like snobby and just like they don't want to be there really. But I feel like it's always like when I meet people sometimes that seem like that, it's like either like the middle of like the rough patch of like the tour, and so maybe they're just like having an off day or something like that, you know. It's one of those things, we all go through phases, and I've heard my fair share of like clusterfuck stories on tours where just like all of the worst shit happens for, you know, a couple weeks there, a week run, and you're just like, what the fuck else could go wrong? So I feel like whenever I've met like a tour manager that does not seem like they want to be at a venue, it's typically because a band has just undergone like a clusterfuck week and they're just like, I want to sit down and drink a beer, and that's how this is going. So yeah. But I would say, yeah, tour managers, I feel like some of them are undervalued and underpaid. But of course, like, you know, there's not really a lot of money in the music industry anyway, and it's not like venues make that any easier for us with like birch cuts and things like that. So yeah, I don't know. I say tour managers are great human beings. Everybody needs a tour manager.
Do photographers need managers, you think?
No.
No?
No.
Why?
I would say tour managers they've got that whole like, they should know who the photographers are on that sort of aspect, and like obviously a tour manager is going to know like their touring photographer and not to get like in the way of the touring photographer or anything like that. Yeah, if anything, like I've never had a tour manager like get mad at me for being in the way. I've had security be like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, getting ready to shoot a band. That is what I am doing. Like, ooh. You asked to see my credentials before I got in the pit. What else do you want? Like, pull a rabbit out of a hat or something? Like, I don't know.
There was one recently manager that me and my buddy always go back and forth with getting help with PR and stuff and everything. But there was one manager that almost threw us off of the stage. That was something that was like great, and I think he just had a bad day or something. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, what the hell are you doing here? And then he just had to see the email, and it's just like, oh, okay, you're good. But yeah,
that's I don't know. I mean, I get it from some perspective, because sometimes like people are in places that they shouldn't necessarily be, or like I personally, like unless it's like a small like venue or like a local venue or like a local show
Mm-hmm.
would ever just like get up on stage with like a band or anything like that.
Okay.
But like obviously if you have like, you know, like an all access pass or something like that, or it's like a venue that allows you to do that, and as long as you're not getting in the way of like the touring photographer,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't really see like an issue.
Exactly.
Like, would I ever just get up on stage at the Vogue? No, because somebody would probably like smack me before I did that and be like, what the fuck are you doing? And then I would never be allowed to photo at the Vogue again. But
Wait, did you do that once?
no. That's obviously no, that's obviously something that you would not do there. But like, for example, like, I don't know, the Biltmore Cabaret, there's like, you know, a small area behind where kind of like at the back of the stage that's got like steps leading up to the stage, because the stage is only like that high, that you can kind of like get up on, go take your shots of the drummer, and then like run back real quick, which like that's fine, but I would never just like go stand on a stage. So I would say, yeah, sometimes tour managers just need to confirm with you like, hey, you're allowed to be here, because sometimes people just like take the piss and are like, oh, I can do whatever I want. But yeah, I would say that's weird though. That I know.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to talk about on here that we didn't talk about, Emma?
No, covered kind of all the bases or anything like that. If there's any more questions that you had for me, yeah. I would say the question that you asked me earlier about like what's one thing that you want to see change, like in the music photography world. What's yours?
Oh, okay. You had to bring it on to me. Okay, yeah, I see that, because I said, oh, I'm not giving you hope, and now you're throwing it on me now, Emma. Okay.
But also, maybe you would have like a really interesting perspective on that question. So, you know, I feel like everybody's views are different, and maybe sometimes people think about things that you wouldn't necessarily think about. I kind of feel like I'm very on the spot, so it's just like whatever popping into my head first, that's what I'm going with.
I'm trying to think what would be something that I feel like should change in the music. The main thing, yeah, I'm with you on like the sexism thing recently. It's just like, yeah, that's something that needs to change on music industry. There is another thing. Oh, I would say recently on what I found out from bands, they need to really like know on, hey, this is a free shoot, this is not a free shoot for photographers. Like for instance, when I reached out to one band here, and they're like, oh yeah, we want you on, but we're not gonna pay for this shoot, we're just gonna give you a photo pass. That's a thing a lot of like more bands are taking more notice upon. I've talked to a lot of photographers are like, yo, a lot of more prominent bands are going more focused on just giving, yeah, it's great to bring out a portfolio base wise of like, yeah, if you want to establish yourself I'm terrible at wording this terribly, Emma, but no, like it's, I wish more bands are more like, I guess, focusing more on like what they want for photographers. I would say like if they want to pay for photographers, or if they can't financially pay for photographers, don't get a photographer or something, say that in a sense. I would say, because it's hard to know that, because it's like, oh yeah, we want you but we can't, but there's that's the only thing I would say. If more bands or managers and that should let people know about that, I think more, I would say.
Yeah, definitely seen like a couple bands and tours in the past, like smaller tours, that have been like, hey, we don't have the budget for a photographer, but if you're coming to any one of the shows that are in this city, hey, like message us with your portfolio or like your Instagram and your rates, because they want to pay like a couple like local photographers to do those sorts of things, which I think would be really rad, because it gives more people like opportunities and stuff like that.
I wish more bands do that, but they don't. That's the sad part I've been noticing. They're like, yeah, we want you, but we're, in the sense, we're just not going to pay for it in that point too. But it's like, oh yeah, we technically do have, in a sense, budget, but we're not going to use that budget. I've noticed more, and it's sad to see that.
Yeah. I also, like, another thing that I would, I guess, maybe love to see change a little bit is, I know obviously like you're always going to go with the person that like, you know, and that does a good job, but I feel like it's getting a little bit more difficult for photographers to get on tours because they're going with the same photographer every single time because it's like, oh yeah, they're just our touring photographer. And it's like, obviously those people do like great work and I love them and, no hate to them, but it makes it a lot more difficult in terms of like for anybody that's, wanting to get into touring or maybe has like the portfolio to tour but isn't just getting that opportunity because bands have decided like
This is
hey,
their photographer, yeah.
we found our photographer. And it's like if they maybe let's say they do 4 tours in a year, they decide to take their regular touring photographer out on 3 of those tours and then like do something like we were talking about with picking up local photographers in certain areas. That would be a pretty sick opportunity. But obviously, like, I know that those touring photographers, that's their job. They need to make a money and a living from that. So that's always kind of the hard part. But I feel like a lot of the time whenever I see like a band that's announced a tour, I'm like, oh, I know exactly which photographer is going on that tour. And yeah, I would love to see just like, different vibes, because obviously like each photographer shoots differently. And, once a band has like established their brand and their vibe, they typically pick like a photographer that goes with that vibe. But it's also like, it would be cool to see like different shots and different vibes for different tours, So I feel like that would be interesting to see change. But yeah, I mean, obviously I get it from a job
aspect, creative aspect as well.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think there should be like something like that. Like if Live Nation, there's a portal. I think there should be a thing for photographers and bands be like, yo, let's get this photographer on and be like, yeah, and do that.
I mean, there kind of is, not really. It's not really massive, but like, are you familiar with the Instagram account Photographers Tonight?
Yeah, I'm on their site as well too.
Yeah, me as well. So I feel like if bands were aware that like things like that existed, they'd like know about that. And it's like, that would be really sick that bands could just like select, 1 or 2 people, like a tour, and be like, hey, we want to have you out. If they can, like if they have the means, that would be great. Even if it's just like one show, just to say, hey, get your foot in the door somewhere. Yeah.
No, I agree on that. Totally, that bands should start doing that as well. Like, have like, a band should totally, if they're doing like 4 or 5 tours a year and if it's like mainly like US based or UK based, like they should totally get a said photographer for that. I know like when I got that, there's one band I know and they had a set tour photographer and it was crazy that they used my photos instead of the tour photographer. It's like, yo, that's great. That's something new and different that bands are possibly doing, and that's great and brings your portfolio out or brings your likeliness, I guess, out. I don't know, but yeah, it's cool.
In like some like chemists, when I trip with Trivium, chemists used like a couple of my photos that I had posted, and I thought that was really rad. I mean, they have a tour photographer out with them? I don't think they did. I think they were just posting photos from like photographers that were at shows to share on their account, which I thought was like really, really rad. I've also seen like even bands that have like a tour photographer out with them. They see a photographer that was like at a show. They really like that photo. And so they share like that photo or a couple of photos, which is really rad because then it opens the opportunity to like other people that may be looking at their page, which is pretty cool as well. Yeah,
I know that a lot. Like even the Whitechapel one, I had that when it was they just had different photographers in that, which is great. That's a thing that I hope more bands lean towards, I think.
Yeah.
Shout yourself out. What do you want the people to know about you?
You can follow me on Instagram at EMMADOTCHUK. Hit me up if you like my work. I would love to work with you, I guess. Yeah. Also, go throw some likes, look out for me on that. I also really like meeting friends like in the photography community. So if you're a local Canadian photographer or even US photographer, just follow me. I typically follow all photographers back just because I like to see other people's work and also make friends in the photo community because I feel like we're all just a bunch of fucking introverts. So it's cool to have a bunch of concert photographer friends that you just like meet up with at certain shows that you go to and stuff like that. So yeah, that's about it, really.
She don't follow me. She's too cool. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's still my favorite. Like, oh shit.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. When we met each other, I'm like, oh, I don't know how it was like when we met. It was like, oh, I was asking what was the details because Vogue was first time with me. I was asking about details about Vogue and everything, and then you were kind of like, you were nonchalant of like, hey, this is my shit, basically. Well,
yeah, because I just like to whenever I meet photographers like in a photo pit that I don't know, I'm always like, oh hey, like give me your @ so I can follow you because like I want to see your work, and it's like then we can just like exchange like @ and stuff like that. But it's also because I feel like I always forget to like introduce myself and be like, oh, my name's Emma, and like just I don't know, I'm fucking terrible at that sort of thing. I just end up like talking to people instead, and unless somebody like actually is like, hey, like I'm so and so, I don't think to do that either. I just have like a conversation with people because I'm such like an anxious human being that I'm just like, oh, you're talking to me, cool, that's really great. So yeah, that's kind of why I was just like, when we met, I was just like, you didn't say your name, and so I was like, what's your @ so that I can like.
Well, it was hard hearing too. It was like loud in there too.
Oh, it was loud as hell. Yeah. So that's why I was like, what's your @ and then I was like, oh, I already follow you, and then you were like, wait, who are you? And I was like, oh, and you were like, yeah,
because I'm like, oh, you're. Then you show. Well, it was hard hearing. Then you showed your Instagram. I'm like, oh shoot, it's Emma, because I'm like, I loved your work. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Emma.
Which is rad because that was a weird, like, I don't know, almost, I had like a fangirl moment that somebody like recognized my work and they were like, oh shit. Yeah, that's always like the wildest when I like somebody asks me for my @ and they're like, oh, I already follow you, and I'm like, what? You know who I am?
Well, I've noticed that more too recently, and it's like, oh, it takes me back, and also I've realized I'm getting to the point of getting very much, I'm growing my photography-ness, and it's just like, oh, people are following me, and I didn't even know that you follow me, and it's bad. It's not ego. It's not ego. It's just a matter of my bad. It's just my bad.
Honestly, it's all good. I get it, because sometimes I like don't see a notification, and then it just like leaves, and then I post a photo set, and then I'm like, oh shit, I don't follow this person. What? Like, yeah. So, but typically, if I see the notification, I follow like all photographers back, just because it's rad to build the community up. Yeah, I definitely think that the photography community could be crazy tight knit, and it's really cool, especially because like knowing photographers from like England and stuff like that, it's just like insane to see how shows work in different places as well. So it's cool to like follow photographers, and also just like, I don't know, I look like all, like, I guess the more like, I don't know how to word this, like like famous, I guess, like Instagram photographers, like the like larger ones with like a larger following really have like a specific like editing style, and I kind of enjoy looking at that and seeing kind of how their work has evolved to get to that style. And I feel like it also gives you like new ideas on maybe like how to edit photos that you might not have a single freaking clue on how to edit. You're just like, oh hey, I don't know what I want to do with these photos yet, but
yeah, no, for me it's weird because when looking at different photographers, I look more at the little ones compared to the big ones for me.
Oh, I always look at like smaller photographers and compare like larger ones. I just think it's also cool to see, like, especially photographers that sell like presets, where they've gone from like their original editing style to how they get to I just like they sell presets. I always think it's interesting to see like where their editing style has evolved from, like, you know, with whatever they started shooting on to like now, which is really sick. But I also think that like one of my friends, Isha Shaw, is a photographer in the UK. She was on tour with Simple Plan earlier this year. I like seeing like how her work has evolved over the last like 4 or 5 years of knowing her as well. Like, it's crazy to just like see that as well. So yeah, but typically I enjoy looking at smaller photographers just because I feel like we're just like an underrated small community down here.
We're down in the little bits of, down in the pit. I don't know where I'm going with this. We're down low. We're very down low here in this group of area.
Which, I mean, is fine. Yeah, I enjoy being...
You just don't like being seen, Emma?
Why do you think I'm a photographer? I like to be behind the lens and not in front of it.
All right, hear me out. This is a new thing that I thought of, like, the other day that I did for a concert. Instead of all wearing black, us photographers should start wearing all white.
Abso-fucking-lutely not. First of all,
I know what you're gonna say. This is terrible because, now you're getting seen. You're gonna get hurt by someone, alright? No, it's just funny because then it'll be like, we're breaking the fourth wall here.
Well, I mean, yes, I totally understand that, and I feel like people probably like wouldn't squash me in like photo pits when they come over like the rail and things like that. But do you know how easy white gets dirty? And like how terrified I would be to like be in a venue and then have to like at the rickshaw. Have you ever shot at the rickshaw?
No, Vogue was my first one ever, Emma, for sure.
Okay. So the rickshaw doesn't have like a proper entryway. You kind of have to like suck in just like and squeeze in between like the barricade and like a sound speaker. There's like not a lot of room for you to squeeze in there. And it's like only wide enough for one, like this way, at least from the stage to the barricade. It's only wide enough for about 1.5 people to like stand in. And then it's like long and there's fucking metal rods in the floor that I've like tripped over several fucking times. So like if I wore white in that venue, I would probably come out like covered in dirt and blood. Like, not gonna lie.
They need a health inspector. That's what they need. Jesus.
They really... But yeah, no. White pants terrify me. Would never wear white pants. I own white t-shirts. Yeah. But as far no, black is the way to go. I'm happy with that color.
Okay, fine. Wear green then. I don't know. Another color than black. That's what I say.
Yeah, most. Did you see that debate on Twitter though? That was just like, you should be in show blacks whether you're on stage or not. Like, photographers don't care about it. I always feel like in the photo pit, you're probably not gonna get seen like by the tour photographer. And like everybody in the crowd is all wearing different things. So I feel like from a pit perspective, like most of the venues that I shoot, the stage is taller than I am anyway, or
yeah, you
like
not to throw heat, but yeah, you were short. Yeah, you were short.
Yeah, I'm very short. But like it's no higher than like waist, kind of like level or anything like that. So I just kind of feel like in the pit, it shouldn't really matter too much what I'm wearing.
I think like you should not. Like, I generally think you should not have to wear all black always. I think I don't wear all black ever, mainly when I go shoot. Honestly,
you should be. I would think should be in show blacks. But if you're not on stage, then who gives a fuck?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're a tour photographer and if you're going on stage, then but also then that's gonna bloody suck if you're on tour in summer. Then everything's gonna be black, of course. But
I mean, majority of my closet is black, so it's not really.
But it's bad. I want to change it though, Emma. That's why I say concert. What is it? Bands need to do different color shirts, and then we're good.
Oh, Telly's iconic, like, what was it, orange jumpsuit for the Monomania tour. Yeah, I think more bands need to do that because it's rad.
Yeah. I even tweeted, I don't know if I tweeted this out, but no, I said this on Instagram, that I don't have green shirts anymore, and I need bands to, because it was St. Patrick's Day, and bands need to do more green shirts for tour stuff.
I could see that. Except for green screens, though.
Is there a green screen on a darn venue, Emma?
No. But like in music videos, wearing green would be a terrible idea.
Yeah, that would be terrible. But
but no, I could see green. I just feel like there's, how there's like obviously different hues of like different colors and stuff like that. I feel like most people are just like, there's certain colors of green
Like,
that
what
are
green do you consider as good?
like my partner, for example, is a huge fan of like forest green, which I think
I
is
love
like a good
forest green.
well, or like olive green,
Mhm.
like dark greens or like muted greens. But like if your shirt is the color of grass, I definitely think that's a bit. I mean, like you do you. If it looks good and you like it, go for it. But that's not something that I personally would wear.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. It has to be certain. Like, nah, let's go, Emma. That's it. We're going lime green into the photo pit. No, that's dumb. That's dumb. No, no,
The
no.
deadline, neon, like highlighter colors, like
Yeah,
highlighter yellow and highlighter pink. That should make a like a renowned thing in photo pits. Is all photographers need to go into the pit wearing highlighter colors and highlighter colors only.
she's onto something here, guys. She's onto something here. That's why, yeah. Well, anytime I go at most metal shows, actually, now I do wear my Holofront shirt. Actually, I did that actually for a festival last year in August. I wore my yellow shirt.
See, yeah, yellow's a great color. Yellow's my favorite color, actually.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
green's mine, but that's why I complain that there's no bands with green themes. And it's all black in my thing, but it's fine.
yeah. Merch, even everything is black or white or like an off-white.
Yeah.
I have never seen a band do colored merch.
There's a few bands. There's one that I like who does tie-dye, and I loved it. I still wear that shirt like crazy tomorrow, and that is Capstan.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
love that shirt.
Yeah.
There's one band in Calgary that I liked, and it's not their true merch, and I loved it. I still wear that too, and it's white. You're gonna hate me because it's white. It's Hawkins. I think it was Hawkins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Hawkins. Yeah, there's white in it. It's like basically Aurora Borealis on their shirt. That was nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dayseeker does some stuff too, I think.
Yeah. Also, who else did like a purple? Who was on? Era.
Oh yeah, Era.
Era does colored merch as well. Yeah. Oh, there's also local Victoria band Anchorage Blue. They did tie-dye merch for a while there as well. So yeah.
Is Silverstein going to you? Close to you or no?
Yes, Silverstein and Dayseeker are coming to Vancouver.
Oh, they are going to Vancouver.
Yeah, they're coming on the 26th.
Oh, you're going sooner than me. Damn.
Yes, Commodore Ballroom.
Lucky. Well, mine's May 2nd. May 2nd, I think, yeah.
That's like the next week. That's not too bad.
Too bad. I feel bad for everyone that's like the start. It's a long tour for them.
It's a very long tour, but and I think it's definitely an interesting tour. Like closer, See You Space Cowboy.
Yeah.
Silverstein and Dayseeker. I think that's a little bit of an interesting lineup. I'm curious to see how that goes.
I'm excited. That's the one I'm so looking forward to the next like month and everything. I'm like, oh, I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely looking forward to that, but I would definitely say Spirit Box just because I want my redemption shoot getting COVID, and then Knuckle Puck because I have yet to shoot Knuckle Puck, and they're just
Yeah, it's Knuckle Puck.
It's also it's Knuckle Puck. Yeah, and then I mean, of course, excited to see like a couple other bands that are coming just because they're like my best friend's bands or my best friend's favorite bands, and I always like just sending her photos, and then she's like, "Hey, this is my new lock screen," and I'm like, "Cool." Yeah.
Yeah, my lock screen is actually lights. Oh, my lights one. No wait. Oh, so many notifications. Lights one.
Oh, sick! Yeah, your like photos were rad. I did not an opportunity. I didn't even know she was. I mean, I should have known that she was going on tour and shooting things.
Fake fan.
But yeah.
Fake fan.
Whoops. Fake fan.
Fake fan. I had to. It was fun.
You can bully me.
I could bully you for a lot of things, but you could bully me for not being in Vancouver because you get better shows than us. Damn it.
I mean, you have to kind of live in a cardboard box to live here. So I would say Winnipeg wins in terms of like livability. But yeah, I will say we do get lucky with the shows that come
Mhm.
through.